Yes people, what's going on? Welcome to the No Ball Games channel. I'm your host J.Jackson, and today we're going to be reviewing quite a surreal match day 2, and I say surreal for lack of a better word. The whole day was completely overshadowed by what happened to Christen Eriksen during the Denmark and Finland game. Him collapsing on the field and needing emergency treatment was heartbreaking and incredibly sad to watch, and really was a stark reminder of how fortunate and precious life is, and how football goes completely out of the window in moments like that. It was just a completely unexpected horror to watch, and fortunately he's okay, he's stable, he's awake. I don't want to say he's okay, all I know is that he's stable and he's awake, so that's a good sign. And condolences to his family and friends and his loved ones, and just wishing him a speedy recovery. It was really, really shocking to see, and we don't want to see that happen to any player, let alone Christen Eriksen, who, might I add, is a marvellous player, incredibly technically gifted, exquisite player. We know him well in the Premier League, but it doesn't matter what type of player he was, any kind of footballing ability, we don't want to see that happen, period. So, really glad that he's okay and he's better, and wishing him a speedy recovery. And yeah, just thought that was something that definitely needed to get touched on straight away, because that was definitely the main talking point of the day. So yeah, now we've touched on that. Football aside, seems so trivial after witnessing something like that, but this is a football YouTube channel, so we will go over the football that happened on match day 2. So the first game of the day was Wales versus Switzerland, a very interesting encounter. The Welsh looked a little bit off the mark, the Swiss looked quite sharp, and I think that the Swiss will probably be kicking themselves that they didn't finish that game and didn't come out victorious, because they were probably the stronger team for large portions of that game. Wales definitely missed a trick. I feel like, as I said in the preview, some of those players are going to need to step up if they're going to go through, because definitely the responsibility being on Bale and Ramsey is a lot to ask. There's an awful lot to ask, and I think that it was very important that Kiefer Moore, I'm not sure how you say his first name, but Moore, managed to grab a very, very important equaliser, because it just looked like, how were they going to really manage to get a goal? It looked really, really dire for Wales throughout large portions of that game. It looked dire for Wales for large portions throughout that game. They just lacked cutting edge. Some nice football, some nice moves. Ramsey and Bale were involved in a lot of those moves, but I just couldn't really see them breaking that Swiss defence. And it was an outstanding header. But first of all, let me give credit to the Swiss, because the Swiss are a sharp team. Mbolo, who we also highlighted in the preview, was on top form. This lad is quite a unit. Him and Zakaria just look towering compared to everyone else. Completely massive people, and athletic and fast. Incredible athleticism from them. And Mbolo went so close before he scored. It was Wasn't until a cross from Shaqiri came in and they managed to break the duct, and Mbola registered his name on the Euro 2020. But it was looking like it was going to be a dominant Swiss performance in general. But fortunately, Wales stuck in there. They soaked up some of the pressure, and it was an outstanding header from Moore. Had a red bandage over his head, managed to nod in the equaliser. It was an outstanding header, outstanding pivot to head it into the far corner. Fantastic goal, fantastic point for Wales. The Welsh fans, I'm sure, will be absolutely delighted with that performance, and that draw probably felt like a win for them. That draw, I'm sure, felt like a win, and I'm sure that it might give Wales the momentum. I still think we're yet to see a flash of brilliance from Gareth Bale. I really feel like we're going to get some brilliance from Gareth Bale. He's going to score a very important goal in this tournament. I'm just not sure when, but I just feel it. It's written, it's set up too perfectly for Gareth Bale. The stage is set for him to deliver, and that man delivers on every stage, as we said before. So I feel like we're due a bit of Bale brilliance. The Swiss can take positives from the game. Unfortunately, they didn't able to get the 3 points. They might be able to get 3 points off of Turkey if they perform like that again. I think they've got a lot of positives. I think Mbola looks very sharp. Zakaria in midfield looks beastly. And Shaqiri, they look like they've got some good players there. And I think they might get out of the group. I think it might be Turkey and Wales who suffer. If Gareth Bale can turn something on his head, then maybe Wales might be able to go through. But I'd say Switzerland look more suited to win their next game, to win a game against Turkey, and maybe even snatch a point off of the Italians. But let's see how that goes. It was a good game, very entertaining game. The second game of the day was the game that was definitely overshadowed by what happened to Christen Eriksen. Aside from that, the game which was suspended just before the first half, before Christen Eriksen collapsed, was a fairly good game of football, and I would have to say that the Danes were definitely on top, and the decision to continue playing upon the wishes of both managers and both sets of teams and organisations was really noteworthy, and really hats off to them. I'm not sure it was the best decision, not in terms of a footballing perspective, just maybe it was a bit surreal to go and play football after witnessing such a tragic event like that. But yeah, it's a tricky one. But the Danes, who probably were the stronger team in the first half, definitely looked like they were affected by the news. Of course they were. The second half painted a different story, a much more even game, and the Finns managed to get the win. Finland, who are definitely just happy to be there, and it's their first tournament, and they actually registered their first win of the tournament on their first game. So congratulations to them, and you just do feel that maybe it wasn't really the right headspace for the Danes to continue. It really was a lovely, fitting moment when you saw the Danes just huddled around Eriksen, who was receiving CPR and then was escorted outside of the ground to the hospital, as they sort of formed a wall and walked him out. It was emotional. It was very emotional. And last but not least was the Belgians in action, the number one ranked Euro team, the number one ranked football team. The Belgians' strength in depth. It did show yesterday. It did feel like the Belgians didn't even get out of gear 2. They were very comfortable. The Russians made it easy for them. They really couldn't impose themselves on the game. They made countless errors, which a few of them led to goals. Lukaku is not a man you can gift opportunities to. I mean, that he feeds off crumbs anyway, and you just saw a man who is in the form of his career bring that to the centre stage for his country, and you just had no doubt that he was going to put those chances away. There was a chance shortly after his first goal where he was powering through, and he was like a freight train just running past the Russian defenders, and there was one Russian defender who managed to keep up with him and make a very impressive last-ditch tackle, actually. But otherwise, I'm pretty sure we'll be talking about a Lukaku hat-trick. Lukaku is in my fantasy football team for this Euros, which was a no-brainer, an absolute no-brainer. This man is going to take the form, and he's going to take some stopping. I really think the case is with Belgium is that they'll lose by being outscored. I feel they will 100% score goals. Tielemans was impressive. The maturity of Tielemans is just unbelievable. I could rant and rave about Tielemans all day. And this was a second string Belgian team, let's be honest. There was no KDB, there was no Witsel, who I'm sure they're saving because they believe they're going to be in the latter stages of the tournament. So, however, I talked a lot about the Belgian depth, the depth of their squad. I'm not 100% convinced that they have the defensive depth, because when you see Vertonghen come off with an injury and Vermaelen come on, don't get me wrong, experienced defenders, good in their own right, they will struggle against some of the powerful and sharp shooters in this tournament. So when Belgium come up against a formidable opponent, which they eventually will, that is when we're going to see who Belgium are. I need to see who the Belgians are, because the way that they're performing and just completely drubbing all of the lesser teams, I need to see them play against real opponents and see if that defence can withstand pressure. But very good in possession. You saw Eden Hazard make an appearance, who this man, I just don't know what has happened. It's the weight, it's the injuries. It doesn't look like he's going to come back. It doesn't look like he can make the sharp turns that we know him for his days at Chelsea. He just doesn't even look like the same player. He was on the same side as Thorgan Hazard, his brother, and there's no way you could tell me that Eden Hazard was better than Thorgan Hazard at one point. Thorgan Hazard looked head and shoulders above Eden Hazard. I know it was just little touches and Hazard wasn't on for too long, but Thorgan Hazard just had an incredible sharpness, and he just overshadowed his brother, which he's been doing for the past 2 years or so. It was too easy for the Belgians. The Russians, we just didn't see the Russians bring anything to the table. It looked like they were outnumbered, outpowered, outmaneuvered every area. I think this is not the game that they maybe saw that they would pick up points, but they're going to have to lick their wounds pretty quickly and move forward and try and get points off of the other teams in the group. But the Russians, it really was a poor display. Golovin was at times showing some creativity and some spark, but it wasn't a very encouraging Russian performance. And the Belgians definitely took their foot off the gas in the second half, and they invited Russia to play, but Russia just couldn't really penetrate. They have no spark. It just looks like they're a team that is aging and doesn't quite have any formidable players to get them out of trouble. The big lad didn't look like he had enough composure and technique to kind of bring the ball down and do something with it, or head it in any threatening direction for Courtois, who was very comfortable throughout the whole game. So the Belgians definitely look strong. Lukaku, I think, is going to be on form. He's hungry. I think he wants to finish top goal scorer of this tournament. I think he's after that. Whether they'll go far enough for him to register enough goals, I'm not convinced by the Belgians. I know everybody is ranting and raving. I think I'm more impressed by Italy so far than I am that Belgian team. So guys, that was match day 2. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. Today is the big one. England-Croatia. Let's see what Gareth Southgate's men are going to do. I'm excited. Guys, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. All that jazz. And I will see you tomorrow, hopefully with an England win. And hopefully we hear more about Christen Eriksen's condition. Thank you guys for watching. I'm out.